Accessing peace. Existing without violence, with the ability to calmly resolve conflict. Downloading love. An overwhelming, deep, positive affection towards others. Activating liberty. Living your life as you see fit without infringing on the lives of others.
Welcome to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com. I am your host, Darryl W. Perry, the Liberty Penguin, the WAP cut cocaine of libertarianism. And you know, I've been thinking, I know I do that a lot, but I've been thinking about possibly making a tweak or two to the show. Nothing major at all, but I do have 4 segments of the show. And I've never really had designated themes for the segments. And I know that a lot of podcasts that have segments will do themed segments. To where, this is the first segment we discuss X. The second segment we discuss Y. The third segment, Z. Fourth segment, pick some other random letter. So I've been thinking about doing that. And right now, this is episode 520. So I've got a couple of thoughts in my head here, and this is where you come in. Now, I'm not going to change the Ask Me Anything. That is still going to happen every Friday. So really, it would only be one show per week that winds up being modified if I actually do wind up making some kind of change. So, again, this is where you come in. Send ideas for show segments to showsegments@fppradio.com. And also, let me know if you think I should do show segments. I'm not, necessarily married to the idea of, and yeah, I know there are segments, but what I mean by, do show segment is, should there be certain themes for different segments? And if so, what do you think those should be? Show segments at fppradio.com, because I definitely want your input, because I like it when people like the show, and I want to make a show that people like, and people other than myself. And yeah, I know I've said for a while that, the show's kind of therapy for me, and yeah, I'm still going to, I think, unless something totally winds up changing, and I have sort of altered the focus of the show in the past, but I'm not planning at this time to alter the focus of the show, although I'm thinking of maybe at episode 550 or possibly 600 taking more of a fitness approach, but again, I'm not necessarily entirely positive. I'm not married to the idea. So send your ideas. Show segments at fppradio.com. And actually, you can put anything before the at fppradio.com, and it will forward to me, because I have a default thing to where everything, you can write whatever you want before the at sign at fppradio.com, and it comes to me. That's how I'm able to just, make up email addresses off the top of my head, and then I don't have to go in and, make some kind of change and remember, what was the thing that I said? All right, yeah, this. So, there's that out of the way. And coming up in just a couple of days, well, yes, there's Chinese New Year coming up on Friday, which I most definitely will celebrate, because I celebrate Chinese New Year. Yeah, I know I'm not Chinese, but it's kind of a second birthday celebration for me, because I was born on Chinese New Year. Yeah, so I've got my second birthday coming up, and no, that doesn't mean that all of a sudden I'm 80 because I've celebrated, 40 birthdays twice. No, I'm not 80. I'm still 40, but I'm celebrating a second birthday on Friday. And that means I need to find a Chinese buffet that has crab legs so that I can go eat all of the crab legs. And I will most likely be going by myself, and that's fine. That's fine. I have come to a point in my life to where I can enjoy a meal by myself. And I know that that's 2 days after Valentine's Day, and no, I'm not going to discuss the history of Valentine's Day because I don't really know the history. That's a topic for probably a completely different podcast and one not hosted by me, probably, like Dr. Love or somebody. I don't even know if there is a Dr. Love radio show or podcast, but if there was, Dr. Love would be the person to cover that. But no. I've had a couple of things in my show prep folder for a while that I've never actually gotten to, and they deal with dating. The one article looks at the ways that dating is going to be different or could possibly maybe be different in 2040. Now, I don't know why they selected 2040. They could have just said in 20 years, and the article is a couple of years old, so some of these things are probably closer to happening than others. And the other one is about the perfect date. Now, you know what? Let's cover the perfect date article first, and then touch on the ways that dating will probably, maybe, possibly be different in 20 years. Again, really only covering this because Valentine's Day is coming up in a couple of days. And, you know what? Let's do something fun. Let's do, something dealing with relationships and dating because that's what a lot of people do on Valentine's Day. And yeah, I know it's really just a commercialized holiday, blah, da, 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 da. But still, let's have some fun, shall we? Excellent. So, jumping into the article, and yet there's not really anything such as the quote-unquote perfect date. And yeah, I'm reminded of the scene from, what was it, Miss Congeniality, where Sandra Bullock goes undercover as an FBI agent into a beauty pageant, and I forget exactly what she was supposed to be finding out, but one of the questions was, what's the perfect date? And the girl responds with, June 20th or something, because it's not too hot and not too cold, and, you're good with just, a nice light jacket. Yeah, not that kind of date. Actually, two people going out, enjoying one another's company.
Coinbase is a simple and secure online Bitcoin wallet for sending, receiving, and storing Bitcoin. Coinbase also allows you to buy and sell Bitcoin using a bank account or use their tools to accept Bitcoin as a merchant. Coinbase has more than 1 million consumer wallets and is trusted by over 25,000 merchants, including Overstock.com, Khan Academy, Reddit, and of course, FPP. Get started at coinbase.fppradio.com. You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. Fans help FPP afford to produce more original content. You can join the Fans program for as little as $1 per month through Patreon and get perks like ad-free versions of FPP Radio News and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. That's fans.fppradio.com.
You're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio with Darryl W. Perry, online at fppradio.com.
Welcome back to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com. And I just realized that I completely rambled through that entire first segment. I didn't mean to ramble. I really didn't, but I did. So let's talk about the perfect date. And yes, I know, there is no such thing as the perfect date. The article here comes from archetypes.com. They say two people who meet via Tinder or Snapchat want to be together and decide to take it further than simply chatting. Trust me, it is perfect anxiety rather than a perfect romance. The perfect date is one that is founded upon the desire to tolerate and absorb whatever comes your way. The author says, I was once in an online relationship with an attractive lady. When it was time to meet, I thought it was a plunge into a different sort of adventure. I thought everything would be okay and our relationship would be the one that ends happily ever after. But what I found out after our meeting was that what is in a chat room should stay in a chat room. The perfect date is not fantastical. It's real, and you have to deal with the imperfections of other people. You have to deal with realities and stop wearing that mask the internet age has forced us all to wear. And yes, we could probably do an entire series of shows about the various masks that people sort of put on because they feel that they need to put those on. But instead of me covering that here, I will recommend a book that, no, it's not something that is going to sissify men, even though that's what some people have claimed that it is intended to do. No. But I do recommend the book, The Mask of Masculinity by Lewis Howes. With that, let's jump into things you need to know about the perfect date. It has to be creative. Doesn't need to be expensive or plush. The perfect date should be an out-of-the-box event that makes the other person always remember such moments. It could be a moonlit walk. It could be a simple dinner with candles and quality time spent with another person. It can be spontaneous, out of the blue, but there is a touch of brilliance that comes with it. The perfect date is passionate. There is enthusiasm and intensity with the perfect date. There's something that makes you want to be there and be with the other person. It could be the conversation, it could be the look in their eyes, or the way they smile. There's always something passionate about the perfect date. And the perfect date is timeless. It's not in the hour. It could be the sunrise or the sunset or a simple lunch, maybe a brunch, maybe a breakfast. It's not about the time, but in the fact that the time moves so fast and you wish that you spent forever with the other person. The perfect date is timeless, and it is also real. Forget all that pretension and nervousness because you've worked so hard to impress the other person. The perfect date is real because with the right person, you would be yourself and be relaxed. You simply want to chill and be in the company of the other person. And that perfect date involves connecting. There's some chemistry with the person. You can connect with that person. Somehow you find other interesting, or rather you find each other interesting, and you're able to reason with one another. Somehow you even know what that other person is going to say before they even say it. The perfect date is also respectful. The perfect date respects you, and they treat you right and understand your boundaries. Certainly, we all love someone who has manners and can be thoughtful. The perfect date sees you for your relevance in making the date a success. And the perfect date is also fun. There's one more after fun. So then we'll jump over to the ways that dating could be different and probably will be different in about 20 years' time. Hard to believe that 2040 is 20 years away. So continuing on, the perfect date is fun. There's humor. There's laughter. You cannot go through the perfect date with someone and be solemn the entire way through. The perfect date has its smiles and is fun. And most importantly, and finally here, the perfect date is a learning experience. You're able to perceive who the other person is and what they are interested in. It goes both ways, as the other person is also interested in you. The perfect date is not rigid. Rather, it gives room for learning and getting to discover who the other person actually is, what makes them tick, and where the date will go from there. The perfect date opens lots of doors. And now those are metaphorical doors, not actual, although in reality, which, yes, the perfect date is real, in reality, it's polite to open doors for one another. So maybe it is actual physical doors, but I do believe they mean the metaphorical doors there. Now, we will jump over into the article about ways that dating is probably going to be different in just about 20 years' time. But before I jump into that, something that I can almost guarantee is going to be different in 20 years' time is our money. Because money's already changed drastically, throughout my lifetime, to where when I was a kid, you only had, these paper things called dollars. And yeah, I realized that, credit cards existed, checks existed, but as far as, everyday use, you had dollar bills. Now, there are at least half a dozen places that I could go in the town where I live and use cryptocurrency. And I want better cryptocurrency. And realistically, I want one that focuses on users and usability. Because really, what's the point of having a cryptocurrency that's not usable? That's one of the reasons, just one of the reasons that I like Zencash. Zencash is the world's first private, distributed, and reliable platform for communications, transactions, and publishing. Zencash has the ability to use both transparent and shielded transactions, features global governance with inclusive decision-making, reliable funding for continuous improvements, and their documentation and wallets are available in many languages on many platforms. Learn more at zensystem.io. That's zensystem.io. Stay tuned. This is Peace, Love, Liberty Radio.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at weusecoins.com. That's weusecoins.com. Born into a devastating world and raised among the crowd, the Cloudwalker assumes a new identity and begins the unrelenting quest for truth. In this epic journey, he discovers dark secrets about aspects of his previous life that he once trusted. Through the Journal of the Cloudwalker, he shares both the traumatic hardships and the eternal beauties of his experiences. Fueled in the beginning by his unsettling thoughts and emotions, he learns how to find peace with everything he has woken up to. Dear Society by the Cloudwalker is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores.
You're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com.
Hey, welcome back to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com. Yes, as always, the links will be in the show notes where you can read these articles at your leisure. Now, don't forget, every Friday, and yes, I always mention this a couple of times during the show, every Friday I answer your questions. If you have any, you can send those over using the anonymous, if you want it to be anonymous, contact form on the website, ama.fppradio.com. Yes, the form does ask for a name. It doesn't have to be your name, doesn't have to be a human name. Doesn't even have to be the name of a pet. It could just be a random string of characters. It does ask for an email address. Again, doesn't have to be yours, doesn't have to be real, just has to look like an email address. Now, the thing that does have to be real is the question. It has to be coherent. It has to be something that I at least, catch the drift of what you're trying to ask, and then I will answer it every Friday. Well, I won't answer your question every Friday, but the questions that come in during the week do get answered on Fridays. ama.fppradio.com. So Business Insider, surprisingly, has an article about 8 ways that dating may look different by 2040. And again, I'm not really sure why they picked 2040, although reading the introductory paragraph, it makes a little bit of sense. because this article is a couple of years old. They say dates in the future may not happen in coffee shops. Instead, you might just sit in your living room with a virtual reality headset. According to a report, and yes, I did sort of say that in a weird sort of pace, but that's only because the word to and a ran together and it looked like TOA, and then the next line said report that runs into from. So I realized that now I'm just giving you explanations for why my reading is sort of off pace, but according to a report from Imperial College London and dating website eHarmony, again, the article from Business Insider citing those sources, the report predicts how relationships will change over the next 25 years. And again, I said that this article is a couple of years old, came out early 2016, so 25 years after the report came out in late 2015 would be 2040. Here I'm just thinking, oh, they wanted to go forward 20 years, and then they just round it up. But nope, 25 years. So again, it makes sense. So what are the 8 ways that Valentine's Day 2040 might be completely different than Valentine's Day 2018? Well, number 1 on the list is, and was mentioned in that introductory paragraph, dating in virtual reality. By 2040, you may be able to hold someone's hand before you actually meet them in real life. With new VR technology, we might not only be able to see and hear other people, but to touch and smell them as well. Now, when I see this, my first thought is like holodeck from Star Trek. And yes, I know I'm not a Trekkie, but I do know what a holodeck is. And yeah, it's something much more than just putting on like a Google Cardboard or, well, what's that? The Optimus Rift. Not the Optimus Prime. Optimus Prime is something completely different, but the Optimus Rift, and then there's something View, I think. So yeah, VR, much different than just putting something over your eyeballs. Number 2 on the list, you might actually be able to see the emotions of someone else. Now, note, they're not talking about you're able to read their facial expressions or their body language. They're talking about some kind of tattoo, and that is in air quotes here in the article. And yes, I realize they're not air quotes in an article, but I'm using air quotes. New Deal Design, the firm behind Fitbit's trackers, is working to create tattoos that visualize emotions. For example, a glowing pentagon could express love when holding your partner's hands. Now, this is just really, really strange, and I don't know if it's something that I would want to wind up getting. And I say that as somebody that has, and I'm going to do some counting, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tattoos, if I counted correctly. So, yeah, it's not like I'm one of those people, oh, I'm never getting a tattoo. No, I have several. I just don't like the idea of this weird emotion viewing tattoo thing. Number 3, and this is something that has been hypothesized for a good while, relationships with robots. Now, without actually reading the little paragraph they have here, I'm just going to quote Futurama and say, don't date robots. Number 4, the end of awkward silence. Real-time artificial intelligence could analyze video data at high speed and ease awkwardness by delivering instant feedback, conversation starters, and live dating advice into our brains. That sounds like an episode of Black Mirror. Could very much be an episode of Black Mirror. Number 5 on the list is very outdated already, even though the article is only a couple of years old. I'll tell you what it is here in moments on Peace, Love, Liberty Radio.
Are you sick of government lackeys who say you didn't build that? Are you tired of elitists who think you need a government permission slip for everything? Everything you do is an A to B conversation, and the government should see their way out of it. Create true free markets by adopting the BIPCOT No Government License. The BIPCOT No Gov license allows use or modification of any product, service, or software except by governments or government agents. Go to BIPCOT.org. That's Bravo, India, Papa, Charlie, Oscar, Tango.org.
In 1999, Darryl W. Perry began a search for traditional values, which led him down a path to the ideas of liberty. He tells the story in A Rebel's Journey, My Path to Liberty. Of the book, Dr. Brian Sovereign says, sometimes it's funny, and sometimes I think it's crazy, but it's always authentic. Find A Rebel's Journey, My Path to Liberty by Darryl W. Perry on Facebook, ask for A Rebel's Journey wherever books are sold, or visit arebelsjourney.com.
This is Brian McQuaid from the Resist the Empire podcast, and you're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio with Darryl W. Perry.
Number 5's outdated, you say? What is it? What? And yeah, I realize that's a question that I'm going to answer right now instead of on Friday. That's because I'm doing the article right now. Number 5, Vine breakups. Yeah, Vine sort of ceased to exist a little while ago. That's why this one is outdated. However, what they have written down here, not outdated, and probably has already happened a time or two. They say, as we continue to sacrifice our privacy on social media, it may become normal to publicize our most intimate moments. Yeah, that's already happening. There are already people that say, if it didn't happen on Facebook, if it's not on Facebook, it didn't happen. By 2030, researchers imagine a world where we record and share our breakups. Again, would not be surprised if that's not already happening. Number 6, matching by behavior patterns. We could eventually rely on big data to make better long-term relationship decisions, like whom to date, whom to marry, and how many children to have. This could help take the doubt out of breakups. And again, to some extent, aren't websites like eHarmony and OkCupid already doing this, to where you answer a bunch of questions, and then when you browse through potential matches, you look and see, oh, you're probably an 85% match with this person. You're a 70% match with this person. So that one already kind of happening. Number 7, matching by DNA. Contrary to today's dating site algorithms based on personality and location, a recent study suggests that people might actually be more likely to choose mates with similar DNA profiles. Now, they don't delve into that, but that one is rather interesting. And finally, number 8 on the list, dates across the world. No, they're not talking about virtual reality dates across the world to where you wind up having a date with someone in Thailand or China. No. They're talking about you actually take your date from where you are halfway across the world. High-speed transportation such as the Hyperloop, which could theoretically, keyword there, theoretically, travel at 500 miles per hour, will eliminate distance as an issue. In the future, people may not be limited to singles in their city. But again, could also wind up allowing people to wind up taking someone from their city to a destination far away. Wouldn't it be great to just have a day trip date to go see the Eiffel Tower? I think it would. And maybe in the future you could buy that with Bitcoin. Right now there are millions of products that you can buy with cryptocurrency. Find them at spendabit.fppradio.com. And don't forget, every Friday I answer your questions. Send those over ama.fppradio.com.
The podcasts of FPP Radio are licensed under Copy Heart. We believe that copying is a form of flattery and do not abide by the copyright laws. Those laws serve to restrict the flow of ideas which no one can really own. Copying is an act of love. Love is not subject to law. If you enjoy the show, consider joining the Fans program and get perks like ad-free versions of Peace, Love, Liberty Radio and FPP Radio News, and also get a copy of the monthly newspaper FPP News. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com.